And we're back. Oh shit, hold up. Now we're back. I accidentally had it echoing on both audio outputs. Oh, it's been a long time coming, but we're finally back. We're ready to be back. We have some things to catch up on. Keith, good evening and long time no see. I am happy to see you back here. It has been a while, but we are back hopefully for a good while now. We definitely went down for a while. Super echo still. Oh, hold up. I had so many tabs open. Give me 1 second. Okay. I think we might be good now. Right? I think the echo was just for the moment that I had a little bit of feedback to like hear what my mic sounded like. And so I was putting it on the desktop audio and then was also like looping it twice. But does it sound good now? I think we're crystal clear. Let me know, you're my eyes and ears. What I am going to do in the meantime is I have to check something out real quick here. Okay, let me go. We're good? All right, cool, perfect. 1 second here. I am switching to a wireless mode for my headset. And we should be in business. There we go. All right, perfect. And yep, okay, everything's good. So we were down for a while because we have upgraded PCs, and well, technically not upgraded. I decided to build an entirely new one and build one for the first time, which was actually very exciting. But at first I was just gonna upgrade my old one, but I did not like certain things about it, so I just decided to build a brand new one. I just need to check something. There we go. Okay. So this should be good. Yeah, okay, making sure everything is perfect. Yeah, so I was going to upgrade my old PC, but it would have been a lot of work, so I just decided to build a brand new one, and it was an exciting project, but it definitely knocked me down for a good 2 weeks. But we are officially back, and I do see that we do have some things on the Discord that we've missed. As well as on top of that, we have some map building to eventually do. But happy to say we are officially live and back. Hope your break has been well, Keith. Hope you've done some exciting stuff. Now, I can officially take that out. And where did I put it? I had my speed test to make sure. Here's our map that we can officially come back to. It's been a while, buddy. I've missed you. You are not late, nothing. You are actually right on time. We had a couple of hiccups, but now we are hitting the ground running. The only thing I'm going to change is, give me a second. We are gonna change the chat setting. I thought I would like the way it looks right now, but kind of want to change it back to what it was. Let's see. I decided to have the stream run for about 10 minutes, which was kind of funny. I planned for 10 minutes and I came back at 9 minutes and 58 seconds. It was actually pretty legendary. But I plan to have the stream run for like 10 minutes when I launch it up, which is usually when I just go get coffee real quick. That way we kind of get everybody in. So I know sometimes there's an issue where I check what someone put on Discord. I review their homebrew and they're not quite on the stream just yet. They didn't know it went live. So it's definitely something I will start doing. Okay, so I kind of like this the most. Let's see. Okay, we can see which chat you guys like more. This thing's gonna go away for a second, but it will come back. Does the scale look good for you guys here? I'll just throw a little testing sign. Helped a person on a different Discord with fleshing out their D20 tabletop system, but I'm not at liberty to disclose more. It sounds epic when you say it that way, like it's super secretive, but I'm glad that's the case. I hope you guys made some pretty awesome stuff together. Yeah, I think it does. All right, cool. Yeah, it's like the old method I liked. I liked it a lot. The only thing is, actually, I did not check this. Okay, we are still good to go. Thank God OneNote saves everything, because that was the one thing that kind of took a couple days delay, was when I built a new computer. I had to transfer so many things over, like find old stuff and files and pictures and documents, and thank God OneNote's kind of on the cloud, so whoever owns the cloud can see it with me, but at least I have it. But we didn't lose any of our long working process that just goes on forever. We have our subclass IDs here. That's what I wanted to pull up. Could be about 10-15% larger. All right, your wish is my command. I got you. Let's see, we're at 160. Let's just scale it up to 210 probably. Actually, can I do a specific number? No. Okay, 210 is fine. Copy. For some reason, when I want to edit it, it doesn't work, so I have to close it, start a new one. Could be that I'm just bad at using stuff. It's also possible. But boom. Okay. All right. Yeah. That actually looks good on my screen too. All right. But we're officially back. I missed you guys. By the way, the system sits at about 40 pages now. That is crazy. I've seen a lot of people are reinventing D&D, more so towards Fallout, because the show recently came out. I saw a couple of YouTubers and a couple of posts. I've not looked at any of them, but I did see a couple people talking about adapting D&D into a Fallout universe pretty much, and using that to like essentially help people run games, which is kind of cool. Whatever gets people into D&D is always a plus. All right. The volume is a bit low on the mic or the music. Might be the music. Hold up. Let's do that. Both, I think. Okay. I will turn it up like this. You guys let me know if this is loud. If it's too loud, I can bring it back down. But if not, maybe this is a good balance. All right, let's see. We have a lot that we missed, but I'm excited to get them back. So 5 new homebrew items. I think it's fine. All right, sounds good. As we go along, let me know if like, hey, music's too loud. I think the music might be a little too loud. And turn it down a little bit on YouTube side. Actually, okay, yeah, it looks good from where I see it. That should hopefully be a good balance. All right, so what I could also do is real quick. Okay, I'm gonna increase my gain and let me know if that's overall the right thing to do. Okay, Tormented. This is a homebrew background that nothing has made. Let's check it out. Oh, you can see the ones you did review by searching in the search bar by the tag. Oh. Ew, wait. Is it through here? Not reviewed. Oh, yeah. Okay. Awesome. Very, very, very nice. Thank you for that tip. Then remove the tag once you used it. Awesome. Perfect. All right. So, let's drag this enough more so here. That should look good to look at. Yeah, that should be good. Stone Knife Guy, welcome. Nice to see you. Hope you're having a great night. We are doing some D&D content together, but more importantly, this is a homebrew background that one of our amazing people that we know, Nothing made. So we're gonna go ahead and review it. Let's check it out. So the description: everything went wrong for you. No matter what you did, nothing can change that. Whether you were born into a weakly, sickly body or abused, nothing changed the fact that you are the lowest person you can ever get. You sought out adventure as a way to release your anger or seek out revenge, or even find a way to fix the problem so no one else will have to go through what you did. You will do what you must. So, for your skill proficiencies, you can choose between medicine, nature, survival, stealth. These are excellent choices in any background that is supposed to be self-reliant, because that is the idea of it. It also plays into the fact that, as you said, if you're sick and you're trying to make sure no one else goes through that, perhaps that could be motivation for trying to become a cleric. D&D version of the chronically depressed, then. Exactly. You got the point. Okay, languages, none. Tool proficiencies, thieves tools. Okay, so this is a good point to bring up real quick if you guys ever make stuff. Not every background needs to give a language inherently, just because some do. In fact, it is actually really nice for the ones that do give languages to contrast the ones that don't, so it's a little more special. So just because you see things give stuff in that regard doesn't mean that you have to. Do what you're comfortable with, and that's good here. Equipment, I assume, oh no, you just start with a lock, a key, and a pouch containing nothing. That is brutal to give them. A pouch with nothing in it is just a slap to the face. I would argue it's better to have nothing than a pouch with nothing. That's just, I love it. It's a huge slap to the face. Languages, yeah, it's a bit of social anxiety. That's the language. All right, so your feature is tormented. Unfairness is everywhere, but you have learned to adapt, knowing that things can get far worse than it once was. Oh, sorry, I read that wrong. Things can get far worse when something bad happens. Whenever you or a creature targets a fail, you may impose disadvantage on their next roll. Oh, so you're kind of continuing the bad luck. But would you impose disadvantage on yourself? Because it says whether you or a creature target. Whether you or a creature targeted fails a roll, you may impose disadvantage on their next roll. So let me know if you're saying here that you could give it to yourself if you fail a roll, or if it's you can if you want. Okay, yeah. I mean, it definitely opens up really good roleplay. But if you have a player who is essentially doesn't want to do that, they'll never use it. I think it could be kind of a cool idea to allow the DM to use that on them too, kind of like a misfortune thing. No clue why, but I did make it an option. I mean, in general, I always allow players to decide if something gives them disadvantage if they give me a good reason to. And it could be a good story reason. So I've had a lot of players that, like, the first time they meet their personal BBG and their backstory or whatever, they say like, hey, can I like impose disadvantage when I attack this person? Because my character would like freak out. And it's like, absolutely. If you have a good case, first of all, that's really good roleplay. Second of all, it makes me as a DM respect you more as a player, because I know you're not here to just get every advantage. You want the roles to reflect what's going on in the story. Sorry, I was drinking coffee. And so that's just a really, really good roleplay moment. Excellent performance. I personally would, because one of my characters had a magic weapon that has a disadvantage every time, but did 12 damage every time. I like it. I had a dagger set that I gave to a rogue that it did 2d. It did 2d6, but if they rolled 2 1s, they got snake eyes, and it was a reference to Oogie Boogie's dice. And so if they actually got the snake eyes, it would buff them only if they were a rogue. If it was any other class using it, it actually gave them bad luck. They had a lot of fun with it. All right, tormented trinkets. So these are things that you can have: a chain that previously bound you, a hair or something of your captors, a picture of your captor, a picture of who you once were. Oh, who you were once, got it. A jewel given by a loved one before your torture, or a small broken torture device. All right. Yeah, I mean, this is excellent. Can't be depressed without blink. Well, you bring it out for dramatic effect, you know? It's exactly what it is. The picture of the captor can be cool for you to like hunt them down. And like, let's say there are not that many pictures out there of them. If any, that could be a cool setup. I think this is an excellent background. It definitely covers something that isn't covered in D&D, which is, as Stone Knife says, the D&D version of chronically depressed. But I mean, that is very much could be someone who went through a sort of a tortured experience. Well, players would be like, so when you say body part, yeah, I feel you right there. I've had a lot of those cases too. But yeah, I think it's a good idea from here on out to probably, oh, whoops, I put it big. Probably to just type overall review Create background covers something. No changes necessary. Actually, I want to say that. I mean, if there are changes, we'll say it on stream. Overall, 2 words to do. But yeah, I mean, I definitely give this like a grading scale. Do we do the S tier list system, or do we just do A, B, C, D, E, F? Or A, B, C, D, F. I messed that one up. Nah, it's just a great one. Alright. I would not change anything about this. This is really good. Okay, so man, I've been gone for a month, made me forget everything. Okay, we take that out. All right, another background. This is pitted or pitied. I think it's pitied. My review: great background, top flavor, needs a bit more polish, 8 out of 10. The polish is completely optional. I think it functions as a universal background, and a DM is free to like input more stuff they want to. So yeah, I mean 8 out of 10 is actually a really good choice, because like the best way I could say it is D&D naturally is kind of built off the idea of like, I as a DM, right, here I am, I'm gonna make something, right, cooking it up in the kitchen right here on this table. I am going to make a skeleton structure of what should work, and the idea is that if I toss it to another DM, they can see the skeleton structure and they're like, hey, this is really good, I like it, I want to put it in my campaign too. So off it goes into my world right here. However, I as a DM might have different ideas of what I want to do with this thing, so I take it down here to make it my own thing, and I add the meat and bones. I don't know, just pretend they're Popeye's biceps. I add the meat and bones to what I want and what I would personally do, but I would understand that not every DM would want that. But the base framework is something that is most likely universally accepted, and so that's what I would officially tell people, like, hey, here's the thing that I think should be added to like D&D games in general, but this is what I would personally do. You're free to like that or do your own thing, but regardless, you provide the skeleton structure. All right, okay, I assume pitied. Okay. No worries, no worries. I thought it was gonna be like pitted, like you got thrown into a gladiator ring, which also could have been cool, but maybe we'll do that later. You were either born or fell upon terrible luck. Luckily for you though, you are not alone. Some people choose to help you, whether friends or family or just some random strangers. They shape the view of your world. Whether you wanted to make a mark showing those who cared for you that their efforts were not in vain, or just using a second chance where you have been given one to turn it to adventure, doing so. I am going to paraphrase your things a lot, because a lot of times, like reading it word for word, I will have awkward pauses, but if I read the gist, you get what I'm saying. There is a gladiator one already. Yes, there is. Using the second chance you got, you can do great things and prove that even those are as lowly as you can still rise to the top. Those who take care of you will never forget you. So, skill proficiencies, you can choose from insight, perception, history, arcana, medicine, nature, or religion. Let's see. Insight's good, right? Like, absolutely, because it's all about reading people, and if you had people kind of pity you, to an extent, you would probably be able to deduce like when people are actually pitying you or when they're just doing it out of their own social obligation, or whether they're trying to trick you. Perception is really good too. I can understand some argument for arcana and medicine. Actually, I mean, okay, so you could use arguments for any of them, definitely. It would just be based on Like, I could see someone arguing who took pity on you. If like a wizard did it, then they could have taught you Arcana, right? If a cleric or a paladin did it, you could have learned religion. If a druid did it, you learned nature. So I mean, I would say this is good to keep if you if the player is good enough to say, hey, based on this person, my backstory, this is why I'm choosing these skills, or their class in general, but usually their class gives it to them. Language, one of your choice. Yep. One gaming set of your choice, and you start with a set of fine clothes, 5 pieces of paper, 5 sealing wax, signet ring with your face on it, an ink pen, 5 ounces of ink, and a pouch. Yeah, it's pretty usual stuff. I was thinking, the person who took pity on you teaching you stuff, absolutely. Yeah, that's kind of what. Yeah, good idea. So, feature, babied. Way to make it sound great. Those who helped you being very worried about you constantly check in on you to make sure that you're okay. Every 2 weeks or whenever your DM deems appropriate, you may receive up to 5 silver pieces worth of food or custom cooked items, 2 pieces of paper, 2 ounces of ink, 2 sealing wax, 1 d4 gold pieces, and a custom written letter, all determined by the DM. When writing back, you can always send some gifts back, and maybe you write asking for help. They can give you something of higher value to help you if the DM decides it appropriate. So what I would do is take away the specific stuff that is an option. I think it is perfectly fine for you to say that they could provide aid up to the DM's interpretation, and that could be 2 things. 1, what the DM wants to give you in the moment, and 2, what that NPC has the reasonable means to give as well. So, for example, if you're pitied by a very powerful mage or a very famous noble house, they could give you more than this backstory. But let's say you're pitied by some hat maker at a city, they would give you a lower amount, but it is a large amount compared to what they have. So feel free to take away the specifications. That way you don't have to lock yourself in a box, and you could just say up to DM's interpretation, and the player will be like, okay, yeah, that's absolutely fine. However, I do like the idea of you writing back, them checking in on you, rather than, I feel like that's something that actually doesn't happen enough. You bring up a pretty good point with this, Nothing, and it's the fact that a lot of DMs, and this was me too when I first started out, is like a player will come in with their character, and in the background where they came from is their little house. That's a really messed up roof. Yeah, there's their roof. Alright, we're drawing a little house, but they came from their backstory, and they had, you know, their parents who either raised them or got slaughtered in their backstory. Usually they're slaughtered, but let's say they raised them and they're perfectly fine and healthy and whatever. When I first started as a DM, this was such a background thought that it was one of the last things I considered. And so what I really focused on is where my character is going in the different options that I put them through. I was so focused on the future that I didn't really think about this too much. However, if on their journey, whatever paths they're taking, every now and then there's segments where you have the backstory, whatever it is, pop in and interject. It's a reminder for them, but it's also a very nice, realistic sort of check-in from the parents or whoever cares about them to sort of see how they're doing, see their progress, and based on their path, either love them, either kind of be neutral and keep things the same, or absolutely hate what they're doing. You can't see it, the X is right there. So yeah, I really like that, what you brought up here with the baby thing. Mainly the fact that they come in to check in on you and make sure that you're okay. Sorry guys, I'm burping a little bit. Alright, building a pitied character. Pitied characters never had it easy. Being the lowest of the lows and having the misfortune worse than most can imagine. Getting help from someone was just a stroke of luck. With aid, you managed to beat all odds and now strive because of those who helped you. Personality traits. Being lucky only shows how everything turns out good in the end. Look for the good in everyone. I refuse to end up in the same situation again. As long as no one finds out, I am fine. Ideals. I honor everything those who help me do. I shall prove what they have done. I shall prove what they have done is not in vain. Snarky. Luckily, those who didn't pick anyone else, sucks to be them. They helped me so I can do the same for them. They helped me so in turn, there shall be a day where I can pay them back and we can be even. Isn't it odd they chose to help me? What do they want? This is my second chance. I will not mess it up. This is amazing. You have brought in just not one simple mindset of like, oh hey, these people pitied me and I should be in their debt. This in itself can just set up 6 different backstories and plot developments for the characters, right? Especially suspicious. Like, what if they pitied you not because they actually care about you, but maybe there's something your character has, whether that's like a magical ability, a family lineage, an item, and they actually want to get that for themselves. That could be really cool. It could be awesome. Yeah, this is good. Bonds, everything I do is for those who help me. Yep, it's never too much for them to ask anything from me. They gave me everything, why would I turn that down? I must help those who are just like me and have the same chance I had. You could make this a little different in the fact of you could put them over other people, and that's kind of like I care about my family's quote-unquote well-being more than anyone, and so it's like I'm willing to let someone suffer if it means they thrive. That could play into more of a bit of a darker character, but yeah, no, this is good as well. Actually, that might be a flaw, more of that. I can never do enough to give back. This is good because this could be someone who essentially will be constantly feel indebted and will always give everything and never really keep things for themselves. Secretly think I am invincible no matter how bad things get. They will always work out. Yep, someone who kind of gets confident with their luck and a little cocky with it. I secretly despise what they did. They could have had much better life without having to deal with me. This is good if you want to play the oh, I'm a I'm a waste of space, I'm just an obligation, I'm an anchor for this team. That could work with this. I don't care about them and really only active for the things they give me. And yeah, that could very well play into a spoiled sort of mentality. Really good overall. Overall review. Take away specifications from what the helper gives. That's about it. Amazing work. All right. So, we can take away the review. All right. We have a homebrew creature this time. A synthesized angel. Let's open this in browser. All right. Oh wait, something. These mechanical beings were made to defend the lab, being cheap and easy to make, where they were designed with the sole purpose of working in large numbers to overwhelm the enemy. Read the anti-dragon golem first, it makes more sense. Got you. Okay. Oh, is this? Okay, are these? I'm gonna assume these might be different variations. Let's full screen this real quick. Okay, I think we have all of them. The Gargantuan Golem, built by a secret organization that call themselves the White Puritans, who want to purify the land. Luckily, only 5 of the anti-dragon golems were built. 1 failed during testing, 2 destroyed by dragon swarms, 1 defeated by an unknown enemy, leaving the last one and most well improved dormant in the labs, waiting for someone to step upon the grounds of the lab. The golem has 3 forms in which it turns into upon reaching 0 HP. Each form attacks and acts differently from one another, making this golem quite formidable. Nothing less expected from a dragon killing machine. So, looks like there are 3 different types: the metallic tyrant, the inescapable, and the regeneration. The metallic tyrant in this form uses melee attacks and uses a laser to hit farther away targets. In this, for its lack of mobility, can lead to it being outmaneuvered by a lot of things. Inescapable is targets separating its fist and head from its body. It will then attempt to fly around killing everything it targets. This form is rather hard to deal with as it is given a much more faster movement speed. It is a boss essentially, got you. The form is a last-ditch effort to not only repair itself but trick enemies into thinking they have won. It's not entirely defenseless, as not only will it passively repair, but one attack that will summon hordes of allies to its side. The golem itself in its full glory is 80 feet tall. Wow, this is huge. All right, let's read the different forms in detail. So these are the different types. So we'll read the base version here first and then go into the different types. Okay. So this is, first of all, challenge rating of 20. So this is definitely an end game boss. Let's keep that in mind and have everything intended for that combat level scaling. Armor class 31 with its natural armor. This is very, very high. I would put this at maybe like 25 to 27 at the highest. And the reason why is because base D&D gives you a plus, oh my god, I can't even draw a plus sign. There we go. It gives you a plus 11 to hit because you have, usually you have a 20 in your skill, which gives you a 5 modifier, like a plus 5. And then your proficiency bonus is a plus 6. So it gives you plus 11. Which means that for someone to hit a 31, they would have to hit a natural 20. And that would make it like almost impossible to hit. So my thing is that if it's like, think of the range at max level where you want them to hit. So like sometimes I'm like, okay, I ideally usually want like a 15 or higher to hit, right? Which means if it's plus 11, then 26, right? That could be a good one. 692 subs, nice. Oh, thank you, Fern. It is awesome to have you back. The first one is Metallic Tyrant, then the Inescapable and the Iron Fist. Got you. Okay. So is Iron Fist? Iron Fist is not its base version. First one is the Metallic Tyrant right here. Okay, I can see 20 armor class, 30 armor class, 30. This is something else. Yeah, so I would personally never go over 27 AC. The only time I have it go above 27, like higher than that, is if they are casting like shield. So if they have shield, oh, let's increase the font. So if they're casting shield, I can actually increase it to like, if they cast shield, if they have like a special shield, like an artifact level shield. So this is a spell. This would be an item. An ability that can be turned off essentially, so it's like a mechanic pretty much. That's the only really circumstances that should have your AC be higher than 27. The players are going to get really frustrated if it's that high, and if there's nothing for them to do to stop the AC being that high, they are doomed to die. So that being said, though, 31, 100 health. I would lower the AC and increase the health. Players are not really going to, like, so if you're gonna have really high AC, it is a good idea to have really low health. But players naturally will not find that fun in general. What they would prefer is, oh, I'm hitting it and it has more health, rather than it's hard to hit but it has lower health. That's just a more fun combat experience for them. So I would decrease the AC, but I would increase the HP tremendously, by the way. 100 health when they're at level 20-ish is very, very low. I would increase this to like 400 or 500 health. Unless, is this, okay. This is the health in the different forms. Okay, never mind. I take that back. Right. Because once they drop to 0 HP, they go to a different form, and they have the health here again. Okay, and then this one's okay. Yeah. Never mind. You figured it out. You're good. So we'll look at the metallic. Does this thing have anti-magic countermeasures? Let us check. So, real quick, as far as its stats. Strength, I would probably lower charisma because it is robotic. They usually don't have a will of their own per se, and that's what charisma really measures, is like your willpower. So I would set this to essentially 10, which is neutral. Dex being -5, good job giving them a debuff. Con, good. Intelligence, it could work, you could argue. Wisdom is more of its like biometric capability, so yeah, I mean 24 is not too bad. So saving throws, that's fine. Skills plus 28. This is a very, very high number. This essentially allows them to pass any kind of check they really need to. It was mainly for intimidation. I would so you in this case, I would say you have to essentially dump the stat and do like environmental intimidation, where you just intimidate them sheerly by how you describe it, and how the golem will just like sincerely not even see them as a threat, just like straight up walk in and just how do I say this in the nicest way? There is something, like, to not make me sound cruel as a DM, but sometimes you have NPCs that are meant to just drive home a point, and they're essentially meant to die. They're NPCs that I essentially bring in front of the boss to just show how strong the boss is, right? And so this is the part where it sounds cruel, but you could just bring an NPC to the golem and showcase how strong the golem is by just picking them up and throwing them out of the tower into their death. Like, it, this is kind of what I mean by environmental storytelling, is like, you could, by describing what the golem does to people in itself, how intimidating that could be, that the players can be like, oh shit. Or maybe this is a very powerful wizard and they shoot like chain lightning or something at it, or disintegrate, and it just bounces off of its armor. Does it move and just tanks the damage? Any number of things that could make them just kind of scratch their heads and be like, yeah, this thing is not as easy as we want it to be. But having really high stats just is never a good idea, because it just makes it that it will always succeed, and you never really want to work with guarantees in D&D. You still need to allow the possibility of failure. So I would do like plus 11 to plus 15 for their modifiers at its max. This boss is extremely powerful because I was thinking of a larger party, maybe level 15 or higher. Yeah, that's what I'm intending it for too. But in base D&D, for the spell save, which is like essentially what the enemy has to roll against them, it will not be higher than 19 in base game. The only way it goes higher than 19 is if you push their stat past 20, because I believe it's 8 plus your spellcasting modifier, which is usually 5, plus your proficiency, which will be 6. Right? Am I wrong there? 14? Yeah. No, I think I'm right. So it would just equal to a total of 19. So if they have plus 28, plus 20, like it doesn't need to be that high, because if you technically have plus 19, you've already made sure that they're always going to succeed unless they roll a natural one. Plus magic item max is plus 3. Are you saying like if they have a magic item that gives them like plus 3, so it's like to 21? 21. Wait, isn't it for checks though? Figuring out what the spell, like figuring out what spell the wizard in the party. Okay, so I think you're saying that having high investigation and perception and arcana are that to like be able to quickly deduce what spell the wizard is like casting at the party. Used a simple answer to that. That works really well for golems. Everything's a little specific. That I would do is the golem could just have a magic database of spells in their like sort of their system, and so decide what spells they automatically know. Not all of them, obviously, because that's way too powerful, but you know, you can make a list of spells that the golem automatically knows because it's programmed in their mindset, and so they essentially have a program. If fireball is being casted, execute counterspell, and you have the golem say that, which can be a really cool reflection to the wizard. It's like fireball detected, counterspell executed. Like that could be sort of its thing. Think of Liberty Prime in Fallout, where it's kind of like Liberty Prime is online. The point that I'm trying to bring home is that when you design creatures, if you have really inflated stats, it's a bad thing long term as a DM, because you start to lose track of sort of balancing stats in general. Because I used to do this too when I first started, and my biggest issue was I was like, okay, if I'm giving this guy plus 28, I don't mind giving my player a plus 6 bonus with this weapon. And then I quickly found out that they were getting broken and I would have to buff even more, and it just got it sort of becomes overwhelming for you as a DM. What is the better method, instead of inflating stats, is to use your creative ability as a DM to put in sort of lore reasons, cool mechanics of things you want happening to happen, but not feel like it's out of nowhere from your players. So a golem designed by a bunch of mages, right? So like that's something I would throw in the backstory. Something they would learn as they head to the dungeons. There was a very powerful mage here. Easily could justify programming the spell knowledge into the golem. And as Fern was saying, or was it Fern or no, Keith was saying, if it has anti-magic countermeasures, that could exactly be what it is. Now, keep in mind, I am also sort of picking apart the thing like as we go down, so it could definitely be in different forms. You have different stuff. I had the stream like 10 seconds slow. This makes a lot more sense. Okay, so damage resistance, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks. This is good. Honestly, with it being CR level of... Oh, wait, is it changing its CR level based on... Because it's 20 here and it's 30 over here. I don't know if that's a typo. 30, 30, 50... Oh, wait, no, that's something else. Let me know if that's a typo or if it's intended to change its CR level. But with a CR level of 20, Honestly, you can bump this damage resistance to immunity from non-magical attacks. I would perfectly do that. Spellcasting focuses with added bonuses, I assume, are uncommon, are valid. This, albeit rarely considered an official example, is the Talisman of Ultimate Evil, DM page 207. Oh, well, unknowns are valid. The Talisman of Ultimate Evil. The resistance to non-magical attacks are intentional as it counters its offensive capabilities. Yeah, I would bump it up to immunity from non-magical attacks. Makes it more special to have a magical weapon, and a lot of feats also are like give people that sort of ability to bypass the immunity. So like in retrospect, it doesn't matter when they're fighting it at the appropriate level, but if they try to fight it early on with non-magical weapons, they're doing no damage to it. So yeah, you could definitely buff this up to immunity, because you specifically have non-magical attacks. That's the key difference. Damage immunity is poison, perfectly fine. You could even throw in a different element if you want, based on what it's made out of. Condition immunities: charms, exhaustion, frightened, grappled, incapacitated, invisible, paralyzed, petrified. So I always, with golems, because they're like robots and constructs, any mental stuff, you make them immunity, you make them immune to it. Any physical stuff, they could still be grappled, right? Like a barbarian could still technically go and grab its arms and stuff, but if someone's trying to play some kind of illusion to it or a mind game on it or hack its consciousness, like that doesn't necessarily work unless maybe you're an artificer. To be honest, I'm not a big fan of immunity to just all non-magical weapon attacks. It's a thing that they do to make those weapons feel more special, because it's a property that's like, oh, grapple an 80-foot tall robot. Good point. I missed that part. I forgot about that. Technically, another 80-foot robot exists. Yeah, just Pacific Rim it at that point. Okay, so technically, I think allow it that. Okay, so it's grappled. It's immunity to being grappled to anything less than one size lower than it. Theoretically, if you have a druid that turns into a dragon and somebody casts enlarge on it, maybe they have the chance. It could be kind of cool, real creative, but you do have a good point. What about the Tarrasque? The Tarrasque could probably do it. The thing about the Tarrasque is you only have one of them, typically, most likely in D&D. They are absolutely huge. So yeah, in his example of the 80-foot robot, it could. But that is because it's classified as gargantuan, which this also is. So the only thing that could attempt to grapple something has to be one size lower than it. So like medium can try to grapple large, large can try to grapple huge, and huge can try to do gargantuan. Well, a large creature like dragon that is 10 feet tall grappling. No, so what you do is you cast enlarge. We're definitely theory crafting this. Yeah, no, it's still significantly shorter, but the idea is if it's classified as gargantuan, it technically can make the roll, but you're free to decide as the DM what that roll is. So because there's still a 30-foot difference, it would still be a hard check. because enlarge doubles your size. So you go one size, pretty much one size larger. But that is still possible. It is a Kraken. Wait, what? How do we get to a Kraken? Oh, Gargantuan Kraken. Oh my god. Okay, look, the point is, for the 80-foot robot, it has to be a gargantuan thing, which it's pretty rare that you'll find something like that. You won't have to worry about it too much. But yeah, in that case, I do understand why it's classified as a condition immunity. All right, senses. Tremor sense 30 feet, true sight, passive perception 35 feet, or passive perception of 35. I would set passive perception to 30 to be generous, to let rogues be able to potentially sneak through it. 35 is very high, but well, the thing about big robots is, because it's 80 feet tall, you could think about it as a way of, like, when it's closer to it, it's harder to see, but when it's further away, then the robot could see them easier. But that's hard to write out. That's more of something you just keep a mental note of. Understands all languages, and okay. I guess just didn't want my 30-foot tall thing trying to grapple my 80-foot robot. So the idea is that, like, it has enough strength and body mass to at least push it to the ground and then grapple it that way. That's how, like, D&D thinks about it. As far as, like, why can something that's huge grapple a large? It's not that it grapples it while it's standing. It's that it can bring it to the prone condition, which it can then grapple it while it's prone. So that the idea is you make it 2 actions, right? Like, if someone really wanted to try it theoretically, the way I would do it is, okay, you all use your spells and creatively turn yourself into a gargantuan creature. You have to first make a check, like a strength check, to knock it prone, and then once it's knocked prone, you have to make another check to grapple it, in which each turn you got to keep the grapple check going. Climbing onto a creature is also grappling according to the DMG. I would not classify that as such. It's like a different kind of grapple. I mean, I don't know why they didn't just have it called mounting. So yeah, because I wouldn't make it as easy as, oh, if you technically climb on a creature, you're grappling it, and now you can kind of suplex it wherever you want. Yeah, true. Yeah, I wish they made a, like, a mounted condition, like you're on it, you're holding onto a dragon or something. But anyways, legendary resistance 3 a day as the golden standard. Very good, very fine. Counter analyze. On the anti-dragon's golem turn, it may choose a single target study. The creature targets it with an attack within its visual range for the next round. It may impose disadvantage on other attacks against self or any. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Labyrinth recall. The anti-dragon golem can perfectly recall any paths traveled. Excellent. Sense magic within 120 feet of it at will. Trait otherwise works like, I mean, yeah, that's fine. You have true sight, which alt does that as well. So yeah, it's fine. It's immune to any spells or effects that would alter its form. Yep, perfect. Upon reaching 0 HP, it doesn't die. Instead, it turns into inescapable. Got you. Calculating the range of attack, treat the anti-golem as if it was hovering 80 feet above the ground. So, plus 16 to hit, reach 80 feet, all creatures except for itself within a 10-foot sphere. It does 34 magic bludgeoning damage. This is fine. This is fine. You don't have to, but I personally would lower the to hit because I wouldn't usually have most of my players at an AC above 20. So if you have it at plus 11, it's essentially usually like it feels like a 50-50 shot if it hits or not and does insane damage. That being said, if they're gonna have high AC, then keep the 16. Why is it hovering 80 feet? No, he's saying treat the range of its attack as if it was hovering 80 feet above the ground. But I think what you mean is the arms would be lower than the head, which that part is true. Like if it's standing at Godzilla height, but the arms could be right here. Like the hands could be, you know, like 40 feet out, but the head is 80. If that's what he means. So which that is a good point. Constrict. Reach 160 feet. All creatures except for itself within a 10-foot sphere. If they're hit, take 21 bludgeoning damage, and the target is grappled with an escape check of 30. Until this grapple ends, all creatures are restrained, and it can constrict a total of 2 times. That's why its arms have a range of 80 feet. Yeah, I mean, I assume it's has some kind of spring contraption to it. I can like extend it out or something. This is fine for the most part. 30 is very difficult, but I mean it is a level 20 challenge rating, so it is meant to be very crucial. Also, each of its arms are as long as its body, not that D&D rule really cares. Yeah, they really don't. Laser beam, plus 19 to hit, 3 to 500 feet. On target, it does 100 radiant damage. Well, it is for, they do that for medium creatures too. It is for calculating range. 100 radiant damage is actually fine. You are up there with dragons doing their breath attack. The only thing that you have to do is you have to put a recharge system, which is how they balance the things that do that much. Because so an ancient red dragon's a challenge rating of 24, and if you go to its fire breath weapon, it does 91 damage. But there's a recharge 5 to 6. In case any of you don't know what this mechanic is, what it is that let's say I'm the dragon. I can't really draw the dragon. I'm just gonna be the robot right now. Here's the Giga Chad robot, and it has laser eyes that it shoots out. What the recharge of 5 to 6 means is that when you use it and it comes up to its turn, or after, it really doesn't matter, just at some point you have to roll a d6, and when you roll the d6, it has to land on a 5 or a 6 for it to get that ability back. If it doesn't, if it rolls from 1 to 3 or 1 to 4, sorry, it cannot use this ability again. But if it rolls 5 to 6, it can on its next turn. How many people don't know 5 to 6 in this chat of 4? It's possible. I just more explain it. There's also sometimes people who can watch the stream later, like when it gets posted on YouTube right after. And so if they're kind of coming in after, they could see what we were talking about. Wait, why not just say roll a 1d3? I mean, it's the same. It's just the fact that you don't usually have a d3 in your base D&D dice. So they just kind of make it a d6. But I mean, you could alternatively roll a d4 and not include, like, if it hits 4, you just re-roll. It's whatever you want to do it at. It's just mathematically they do a d6. All right. Now we're looking at this. Oh yeah. Legendary actions, 3 legendary actions, 1 action at a time at the end of it. Yep, this is pretty good. Make a wisdom check. Yep. Magically teleport along with any equipment it's wearing up to 120 feet. Giving it a teleport is pretty insane with everything. Why is my message not loading? Oh, because it's X to Y. It could be 4 to 6 or just 6. Yeah. When fighting inside its lair, the monster can invoke the ambient magic to take layer actions. On initiative count 20, monster can take 1 layer action to cause one of the following effects. Layer generates a field of energy around the anti dragon golem, giving it 24 temporary HP. Its damage, while it still has its temporary HP, it deals damage equal to lightning damage equal to the attacker. Shadow message from YouTube. Boom. So let's see. The monster can repeat. Oh, give me 1 second. Oh. I'm just checking something real quick. Alright, there we go. Let's see. Just took way longer than normal. Yeah, sometimes it happens. So okay. For the next 3 turns, escaping the layer is impossible. Roll 1d4 to determine which constructs are summoned. Explosive missiles, synthesized angels, which we see over there. Explosive missiles. Oh wow, 4 is crazy. Alright, regional effects. After making an iron slam attack, the anti-dragon golem may choose that place where it hit into difficult terrain. Okay. Nice. Okay, so for this one, this section was perfectly fine for the layer actions. Didn't really seem too bad. So it switches to inescapable. This is the next thing, and I assume it is no longer 80 feet tall in this. Like, it's only 80 feet tall in this form, correct? That could potentially be really cool for it to sort of be 80 feet tall, and if they do enough damage, it starts to fall down and shrinks to like a smaller form. I'm gonna assume as much. Yep. All right. Cool. All right. So armor class 30. Again, I would recommend dropping it down. At this point, the stats are different. It removes the thing. Got you. Pretty much the same stuff for the most part around here, so we don't need to talk about that part. Same passives. Pawn form switch to Iron Fist are summoned within 30 feet. It basically just detaches its head and the body dies. Nice. So can bite, 11 to hit, does 42 damage. That's fine. 1d4 synthesized angels appear within 30 feet of the anti-dragon golem. Bonus actions: laser beam, 19 to hit with 100 radiant damage. Once again, very powerful, so I would put the roll the d6, 5 or 6 to get it back to kind of balance it, and then you're good. And then the legendary action is to detect. Yeah, so I would do that part and then it's fine. Regeneration, let's see, this is where it has the most amount of health. Armor class of 30. Someone found out they could put big numbers into thing and went mad with power. That's what I was saying. I would not ever really go AC higher than 27 base. The only time, like, have I ever had AC go to 30? I have, with them using like a spell like shield, or they have like an artifact shield that gives them like +3 bonus to AC, or they're using a spell or some kind of mechanic that gives it to them. But the point is that the players have to do something to, they can do something and take that away. You just don't want to have it always there. Okay, so same things over here. The strength is very low. All the stats are low except for its con, which is good with its regeneration type. Exactly as you were saying. Where the fact that it's trying to trick them into thinking it's dead, this is really cool. Lightning damage heals as constructing instead of damaging. Very nice. Radiant damage has 1d4 chance to instead reflect the targeting creature. Okay, so it kind of reflects because it's a mirror. That's nice. It may summon 4d4 synthesized angels within 20 feet. It's a really bad day if it hits 16. Summon a regeneration structure. It may summon 2 regeneration structures within 20 feet. 0 stats. Using an action, the anti-dragon golem can return to its former state. The golem is at 187 through 372 hit points. It's able to revert to inescapable. At less than 186, if it is at 373 to 558, it can go to Metallic Tyrant at hit points 377. I'm a little confused with how the math is written out here, but I assume you have it in your head. Overall, it is a good idea to have a threshold of health needed to go back to a form. Summon explosive missiles. Broad-made immunity to force damage. Well, I think we've all been traumatized enough with Eldritch Blast, how often that's been used. Alright, so the anti-dragon golem may summon 4d6 explosive missiles. I'm always a huge fan of missiles. Instant shield. The golem instantly gains 5d10 temporary hit points. This is tough as a legendary action because they can technically do it after a creature's turn. Because it doesn't say how many legendary actions this is. So this is 3. This is, I guess, fine. But if it's 1, this is insane. Did you see the damage state? Did I miss that? Oh. Upon shifting, it starts with 186 HPs instead of... Okay. So it's at 186 and it's trying to get to 558. Got you. Is this the only thing that is healing it? I assume the regeneration structures heal it. I just don't know what that heal is, but as long as they're passively healing it. So it's basically trying to repair to revert its state to its former form. Yeah, that's fine. That's very cool. Yeah, so I mean, overall, I would nerf the AC. I would nerf the bonuses, and then again build up its mindset, build up like what knowledge it has to give you what it wants. I really am a huge fan of the regeneration state, where it kind of essentially breaks down, it deploys some structures to start building it back up. It makes the players think it's dead, and then slowly it's building itself back up. That's really cool. I like it a lot. But yeah, I mean, as far as a final boss, this is pretty cool. And if you were to tell me this thing is designed to kill dragons, I would 100% believe it. On that, I'm going to mark it. So overall review. Amazing final boss. Change AC and plus bonuses. Regeneration state is absolutely perfect. I spelled that wrong, but we're gonna ignore it. Okay. In that case, I will mark this as, oh, thank you, you beat me to it. We will check the rest of the Mist Homebrew next stream. For now, we will just jump into a little bit of world building, actually, to finally come back to it. So I decided a couple things while we were on break. We usually went through a notion of building out cities, villages, all this other stuff. Instead, I want to start incorporating the world building already, so it could be a little fun for us to do that together. And you guys can also, I can show you guys essentially how to do it, kind of my way of doing it, my guide, and then we can kind of build it together and have a little more of an interactive fun. There's still a few things in the world building section for suggestions I left. Ooh, I know there are some other things. My plan was to go over them next stream. So what I want to do, and I went a little over, is I want to do like on stream the first hour to an hour and a half is like homebrew review, and then we kind of jump into the world building and creation. That way there is still some homebrew to look at every time, instead of knocking it all down in one stream and then kind of waiting for more stuff to come. But I assume when you say Racy, welcome. I assume when you say world building stuff, you mean right here to put into the world that we have. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I assume that's what it's for. Oh, yes, okay. All right, then in that case, I think I have an idea, which is every now and then we're going to jump into the story ideas and pull from something to put into our stuff, which will be kind of cool. Wait, so does the story ideas for your campaign count as homebrew or world building? I would say probably world building based on how it's structured. Because I think the general idea with the story ideas is any one of you guys can come in and be like, read this and be like, oh, a dungeon named Perdita. Let me read the lore. Oh, I like this. This is awesome. Let me put it in my campaign and stuff like that. Also, you can put the tag called canon on an idea you like. Oh, that could be really cool. Yeah, this is awesome then. Good. Very, very nice, Lucky. Or nothing. Thank you so much. That could be very dope. All right, so let's start. That being said, I kind of want to start with the first village we essentially made. Rahu and Valheim. Oh, is that? Sorry, give me 1 second. Yeah, I thought the glass I was drinking out of had loose glass pieces in it. I got concerned, but we're fine. Okay, so what we want to do here is anytime we make a zone, there's a couple things you immediately want to consider. One is going to be its environment, and obviously we can tell that we made it in kind of a cold, snowy place, so that's kind of what we want to reflect in realistic problems, in sort of the environmental design, the monsters, the beasts, the quests, the resources. All of these are things to consider, and so ecosystem is very, very, very important. Valheim, what an original name. I don't want to hear it from any of you because we named this at the beginning, streams and streams ago, and someone said Valheim, so it's there for them. Yeah, it was named by someone in chat. I'm a neutral state here. Okay, I am just an arbiter of what you guys want to do. I'm the host, but you guys are the party. All right, so we decided that we wanted Rahu and Valheim to not be in good terms with each other. We did not decide how or why. we did decide that Valheim is going to be a little more of a Nordic Viking-like tribe, while Rahu is more of a sort of peaceful winter village. I think Keith did it. Keith, it's your fault. Other things to consider, we have placed magical weapons across the world. Huge artifact left over from a massive war that took place once long ago. And there is a shield on top of this mountain, which now that I think about it, I kind of want to place something right there and kind of make it look like it's a little more resting on the mountain itself. Probably tilt it a little. Yeah, there we go. Oh, did you see the character I made for an NPC idea? I did not, but we could add that as an NPC in one of these villages if you'd like. Character ideas. Melroy Hive, I assume. Once a great and powerful wizard, now dead. Well, maybe we don't get to add them onto this. He is very much alive. Okay, he's back. He is indeed here. Throwing us on a roller coaster of emotions. Maybe this will be our first NPC to put. Oh, all the chats just came out once. I was the one who suggested Yule, not Valheim. He is a blacksmith. So do we want to change Valheim? I am not sure who suggested Valheim. I don't want to undermine someone's writing, but we also don't want to... We do like to come up with things separate. That's fine overall. What if we change it to... Oh. Valhelm? Question mark. Even the people don't know what it's called quite yet. That could be a quest. Is they're trying to find out what is the name of their city, and that's kind of having a little bit of a civil war, some social discourse, if you would. All right, yeah, we'll keep it to Valheim. It does sound cool, obviously. Those guys did a great job naming their game. Okay, so all right, so let's read up. Well, the thing is I assume this is a very important, very powerful wizard, and so I don't want to quite put them here unless you want to just kind of give them their own place, especially because just off a glance I'm reading Unlimited Army of Simulacrums, Glowing Rapier, so we will hold on that for a second, and it will come in due course. Find the name of the city campaign would be funny. It would be amazing. I don't know if I've said it before to you guys, but one of my favorite games is like old school RuneScape, and their quest in that game is such good inspiration for D&D quests. And one of those quests is like you go to a tribe of goblins and they're having a civil war over what color armor they should wear. I think it's like between orange and green or something. And you have to like stop this war that they're having because one side thinks it should be orange and the other thinks it should be green. Oh, Valion Smithson was what I was talking about. Got you. Okay, my bad. I was looking at the wrong one. Whoops. Wrong tab. We have so many tabs open. Oh, I believe we looked at this one. Yes, I remember. This one was very awesome. I did not read this part though. But let's read it for everyone real quick. This will be our first NPC added into Rahu. A human weaponsmith. My bad, guys. A human weaponsmith who is known to be quite an awful weaponsmith. He's also counted as the odd one out in most places he goes. He carries a giant pickaxe with him and glows with red flame and black mist that flows out of it. He also has a musket upon his side that has a spring-loading mechanism instead of gunpowder and a pebble. He usually wears a helmet covering his face in fear of people will see him. He wears a fuzzy, warm-looking scarf with white gloves and a navy blue sweater. He's also known to wear studded leather apron with black shoulder pads and gray long pants with black boots. He's quite a nice person to talk to, even offers you his craft. Though terribly made, he charges nothing for it. He's also known to travel a lot, going from town to town trying to sell his wares. He usually uses phrases like "just like my weapons" when referring to something being of terrible quality. Imagine that when talking about goals, dreams, and others of the sorts. Sherplaz, his word for onomatopoeia describing an awesome attack or finishing move. He is actually a smith in training, mainly acting as a terrible smith to convince everyone out to ask about his legendary forge. His pickaxe was his very first weapon and made from an unknown weaponsmith a long time ago. He now uses it to break down the largest weapons scattered around the world. He uses those parts for weapons beyond fathomable. He has never actually sold anything, yet maybe just someone might see him as worthy. Oh, okay, got you. I read that a little wrong. Wears a helmet to not drag his family problems of having a bad reputation. He's also part of a group called the Maximum Deficiency, as someone who maintains the group of weapons. And then over here we have the sheet, which we can check out later. But for now, we can easily have him be introduced here because we have one of the weapons here, which is something he could easily be trying to forge. Fern, have a great night. Take care of yourself. Thank you for tuning in. Hope to catch you on the next one. There you go. So, let's see. What we do here now is we start to put in our notes. Valheim. For now, we're just gonna put... Oh. Artifact shield. The Yule Crossing. Alright, so we set up notes for our major locations. We also have, we could put a note for the forest that we can call something something like the Whistling Wind Forest, right? Just as an example. We don't have to play on it now, but it's just something we could put in. Actually, I think what might sound better is the Winter Wind Forest. That's even something we can put in text real quick. Downscale it. Give it a little bit of a curve to make it look nice. There we go. We can place it right here. And then change its color to something a little more bluey. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Alright. And there we go. So, what about Frost Flake Forest, or FFF for short? Never mind, it seems like a good one. Damn, I wish I was quicker to read that. Frost Flake Forest sounds amazing. We could put that here. Frost Flake Forest. That could be good. I like it a lot. Alright. So, now that we have these ranges, the way I like to do it is... At first, and I'm just gonna write this right now, I have introduction. And then what I do is I do NPCs. I'll grab this, I'll make it a heading, I'll underline it, italicize it. I will do quests, and then I will do rewards. So I'm creating 3 different categories here. The first one is an introduction, and this is essentially very quickly a paragraph to remind me what this place is about, but also something I can like sort of almost describe to the players as they come in. For me, my description on things is usually more improv, and so I don't usually write it down pre-hand. I more just like to mentally imagine what I see and then describe that in detail. But this is absolutely a time where you could describe what there is in the city. I more just describe sort of its main concept, its ideals, what it's trying to do. Give me 1 second. I need to... Nope. There we go. All right, we're back. So, this is where we kind of want to start by building up the lore of Rahu. So, do we want it to be a fishing village? I think that could be kind of nice. It would explain the dock, the boats. It's right on the coast with the sea. It has the lighthouse. Sure, awesome, we'll go with it. I like the idea that perhaps Rahu may have have expanded into this entire northern side, but Valheim sort of had these people that may have come from here, actually, which we could incorporate in their backstory. All the sulfur that built up these sulfur lakes have kind of forced them out looking for a home. So they sailed across and made their home here, pushing them over there. It's kind of been this feudal sort of sense. It has not ignited to a full war, but it has caused some tension between the two, and that's why there is tension. So now we go into Rahu. It's a much larger town. I've been pushed towards the western side by the tribe of Valheim. Now taking to, is this a little, maybe if yeah, that'll be a little bit better. Now taking to a fishing lifestyle. Their people are extremely adaptable and resilient. The nice thing about writing lore is you figure out how bad you are at spelling. I said resilient. Resilient? I don't know. The issue with this is autocorrect does not always want to work. Resilient. Oh, I mean, I was pretty close. There we go. And then in the lore, so I kind of do a thing of like describe the past, describe the present, and then describe more of what is the problems as we're trying to get to the future. And that could be something that, although a close community people have recently been distressed over the increased attacks from Valheim. And then now we will go over the NPCs, right? So in this thing we want to have, we can't add this to dictionary, it annoys me so much. So one thing to point out is in something that is more of a sort of civilized town versus a tribal, you want to name the positions of powers accordingly to reflect that. So for this one they would have a mayor, right? But when it comes to Valheim, I would put like a chief, and that's sort of a difference of how they would call it, right? It's like the difference between saying king, emperor, right? president, stuff like that. Orkin the Fisher, that could be someone immediately we could put in. Orkin the Fisher, right? So for the first name, and this is again where I personally have the hardest time, is giving names to stuff, but let's say it's Mayor Talos is the leader of their sort of little town here. We've thought of Orkin the Fisher, but let's talk about Mayor Talos real quick. So I'm gonna decide that he is a Triton. Triton from an unknown land. Talos has lived within the community of Rahu since its start. Teaching its people the ways of fishing and deep sea travel, or now DC navigation. Rahu is created, or not Rahu, but Talos has created everlasting bonds with his people and has inspired trust and faith within his decisions. Talos currently seeks a diplomatic solution with Valheim and is hoping to arrange a peaceful meeting with their chief. Okay, so what I did right here is I essentially, right now, I currently don't have a fully fleshed out sense of what I want Mayor Talos to be. I want him to be a Triton. I want him to be from somewhere that's as an unknown city so I could devise it later. However, I'm using the fact that we decided Rahu's a fishing village. I made him a Triton, and I could use that as he taught them how to fish, because this is something they learned when they got pushed to the west side. They had to adapt, they had to learn how to fish. So because he taught them that, he started creating bonds with his people that they then elected him as their mayor. That being said, I also decided that he is going to be a very non-violent character. He wants to have a diplomatic solution. However, is not going to have every single person be happy. So before we get to Orkin the Fisher, I can already arrange another NPC who could actually represent the opposite of Mayor Talos. So what if we say... let's say their name is... This is the part where I get a bit slow with the names. Let's say her name is Serena. We'll call her the Frost Ranger. Kanan the Rioter. Ooh, okay, that sounds like such a good one to put for the other side. Some like sort of brute strength monk on the other side that just like punches people. Darn stream delay. Now we're gonna keep here, hold up before we forget. I really want to put that in Valheim side, so that sounds like such a cool person for them to interact with. All right, so Serena the Forest Ranger is Train to scout after her service within the, and then this is where I'm going to take a quick pause and actually just choose some place that I think would have like scouts and rangers. So with that, real quick, we can probably put it... We never named this town. Damn. Nah, we'll just say she's native from there. So we will say, actually, I have an idea. We're gonna give her a title, which is First Ranger, and then we're gonna say trains a scout after service within the Frost Rangers, an elite band of scouts this is for Rahu, for what city it is. Serena represents the first and final line of defense for its people. With increased attacks So with increased attacks from the tribe of Valheim, Serena is revolting against the mayor's diplomatic solution and instead proposes path of eliminating their chief. I spell eliminating wrong. Serena is currently located within the Winterwind Forest, keeping guard with her rangers. Okay, so what I did right here is I devised another path. The thing is that, like, as a DM, you are a storyteller, you are a writer, but you need to also understand that D&D is a game, that your players are meant to decide the story. So if these are my players and they are walking into this town, I don't want to just point the narrative as, okay, it's just going straight through, I know what it is, and so every NPC that they meet, no matter on which spectrum and ideals they have, are all just going to push them into this one point I'm trying to do. Instead, what you want to do is present problems and do your writing and story building off that, and then have diverging paths through NPCs, right? So if they want to follow the mayor, then they are trying to get into a diplomatic solution. If they want to follow Serena over here, ugh, I suck at typing. Man, there's so many issues with like the font randomly resetting when it wants to, which makes me really, really angry. If they want to follow Serena, it's a bit more of a combative solution. So what you're doing is you're essentially appealing to different play styles that the players want to take into for them and their characters. And then the third path can be the chief, right? And the chief could just be like the exact opposite. It's, hey, you know what? I decided I don't like this town and I want them to die. So this is the quote-unquote quote-unquote evil side, which is only evil in the context of to Rahu, to the town of Rahu. This is evil for them because you're trying to kill them all. That being said, when you design your NPCs, you want to design them with contrasting interests to create conflict, which will further create quest for you. And that since I've created Talos and Serena, when I come down to my quest, I already have 2 quests that I can have, right? One for Talos and about his way of doing things, and then one for Serena. And perhaps they meet Serena first, and that could paint the picture of the people of the tribe as how she sees them. And then once they get to Rahu and they meet the mayor, then things are portrayed a little differently. And that to the players now forges a separate perception. Then they could say, hey, we trust our gut with one of these people, or hey, you know what, we're gonna go over there and find out for ourselves and make our own judgment. What about Gale the Spy, who's trying to get Valheim to fight Rahu so that his town can take both of them? That is very nice. So what we have here is next is an instigator. And see, your mind is already in the right place. Now it's like this. So, since obviously your players don't look at the notes, you can put the spy and kind of know it for yourself. It's really bad if they do have access to your notes, but let's say it's Gale Irontooth is his name. Sorry for random interjections. No, the random interjections are to create stuff. So, spy residing within town of Rahu. Gale is seeking to increase tensions between Rahu and Valheim in hopes to reach a war that will allow him both there we go. And so that very well works really well. Now we have a third complexity. And so one thing that we can one thing we can kind of decide that can be cool is, what is the nature of Gale? Do we want him to be from somewhere around here? Do we want him to perhaps be from the mountains? Or do we perhaps want him to be working for some underground syndicate, one that could be miles and miles away? Perhaps it's in sort of the kingdom of Yongling. There's a lot of different options you could go from here, which is the fun part about D&D lore building, is when you start connecting it to your world across, it gets very fun, very interesting, and you yourself as a DM get excited to sort of unravel these plots before them. But that is also the point, is they are plots to unravel and for the players to decide, not for them to just experience with you deciding everything. So add as much complexity as you can. We can have him work for Melroy Hive. Seems like something he'd do. I am 100% down to check out Melroy Hive. However, we will probably have to do it next stream because we are 12 minutes over time. It is 1 a.m. I wanted to just finish this point real quick of how to set up this, and then we were going to continue it next time. Which we probably will, actually, starting now. You guys, the quests and the rewards we'll go over it next time, but it is very self-explanatory, obviously. The hardest part is designing the NPCs. Now, before we go, though, there is something worth mentioning with NPCs. Like I said, a lot of my descriptions are very improv. In the moment, I think about what I want them to look like, what I want a town to look like, and I describe it in that sense. But if you have trouble doing that, this is the time to sort of give your solution. In this, when it comes to Mayor Talos, I could write Triton to get his sort of race, and then I could also write like a class if it comes to relevance, Triton Bard. but I could also put a description tag right here and start to describe it, right? And essentially write it how you want it described, to an extent. Mayor Talos, so there's two ways of doing this. You could just write literally like left eye missing, 7 feet tall. I don't know. I know trans are like 5 feet tall, but I'm just gonna say 7. Black scarf, green hair. Like if you wanted to describe it this way as a list, that's fine. The other method is to describe it how you want it to be read to your players, essentially. So upon entering, you see a 5'2" man standing stern. I spelled that so wrong, didn't I? Okay. So, sorry I went quiet for a second. I was just kind of thinking in my little zone. Sometimes I'll think I'll get better at reading out loud. But something like this is another option. So like upon entering, you see a 5'2" man standing stern, but with his hand on his chin as if contemplating something. Scar goes down his right eye down to his jawbone, slick black hair that almost seems oily. Simple clothing of white and green coloration. He has golden eyes and an expensive looking pocket watch that is on his vest. This is then a time where if someone has passive perception or insight, you can give them a little more information, right? If they're insight, maybe they maybe this part of him contemplating something is left out unless they have high insight, but perhaps they can figure out more of what it is. Is he contemplating something and freaking out, or is he sort of creatively thinking? Does he seem confident? Does he seem scared? That is something they can get. Perception, they can notice maybe a weapon, they can notice other jewelry, other fancy stuff, but that is kind of another idea that you can do, essentially. Weirder peace solution for Rahu: have him a son who works at the lighthouse of Point Hollow, one of the few people who could ever talk down the aggressive chief. Is Point Hollow all the way here? Ooh, that's very far. So have the chief's son works at Point Hollow? If that's what you mean, which is also a possibility. Is perhaps if they go talk to the chieftain, they can find out that his son went missing. I assume it's the chieftain's son, and that could embark on a quest to go find him, and perhaps their quest leads them to Point Hollow, to which they get roped into all this other stuff over here that they can kind of essentially deal with later. It's a lot of fun to kind of build the breadcrumbs. But I'm going to go ahead and save this right now. I'm gonna assume that is what you meant, Keith. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was an amazing stream. I'm thankful to be back. I'm thankful to have you guys still here. Thank you guys so much for taking your time to watch me have fun here together. I kind of like this schedule more of sort of in the first hour and a half we do the homebrew review, and then we start into jumping back into world creation. To kind of get a mix of both for me and you guys. But with that being said, everyone, have a great rest of your night. Take care of yourselves, and as always, have a nice, good old cup of coffee.